I have had a really good relationship with Sundance. They've been supporting Native film since the beginning. They were the first festival to bring my film Choke, my short film, which I also played on FNX, and they were the first festival to really back that film, and that gave me a confidence I'd never had before as a filmmaker.
Being in a room full of Native people who are excelling in life, filmmaking, writing, producing, it's amazing. It's such a great feeling.
Sundance is actually a really great place for Native filmmakers. This year, I've been sort of amazed at how many Native filmmakers there are. Because there are so many fellowships, and it's really kind of great to see a bunch of new, fresh faces. Oh no, blanking. Sorry, sorry.
Perfect.
It's midnight.
Link Ray, it's rock and roll.
Rumble. Yeah, that's the one.
Rumble. Hey, Rumble.
Rumble had the power to help me say, F it. I'm gonna be a musician.
Basically, the film that we did, that took us 4 years to do, to finally let people know that Indigenous people here were first. And if they were first, well, they had music. If they had music, then they had rhythm. And where did that rhythm go, Well, that rhythm went everywhere, through blues, through jazz, rock, punk, metal, folk, and rap. Hopefully Rumble will cause a rumble and maybe, get everyone's attention.
Rise is an 8-part documentary series produced by Viceland, and we go to the front lines of Indigenous resistance across the Americas.
I think the difference between Wounded Knee and Standing Rock was that at Wounded Knee people felt that they need to arm themselves with weapons, and at Standing Rock people arm themselves with media. One of the beautiful things that happened at Standing Rock in response to a lack of care or attention from mainstream media was Indigenous people seeing the opportunity to use social media and to use independent media sources as a way of getting out the stories.
Rise is unusual because it's on a fairly large network, Viceland. I mean, it's 44 territories across the world. Millions of people are going to see it, but it's about Indigenous resistance. I mean, it's amazing. We're not niche. We're not stuck in a corner somewhere. We're on a mainstream network where everyone's going to be watching our stories. And to have that championed by a festival like Sundance, I'm so proud. And it takes it's the Sundance Festival. It's named after one of the most sacred ceremonies for the Dakota people, So it seems appropriate.
Är det inte du som är från Lappland som Niklas träffar där? Men då kan ju du jojka, jodla, jojka.
To introduce you a little bit to Sami culture, we're an indigenous people in 4 countries. We're the only indigenous people in Europe. And Sami Blood is the first film made in South Sami language. Well, I wanted to bring attention to this part of our colonial history. I guess we have kind of the same history as you do here. We had residential schools, and if you went to one of these schools, there was about assimilation last century, but also segregation. But I mean, I also wanted to use the yoik, the way of singing or chanting, and our traditions and language and the way you do things. So it's not just about the bad parts. I wanted both.
Hello, my name is Stephen Jerome, and I'm from the Geskabigia First Nation, Micmac First Nation. And my movie is My Father's Tools. It's about traditional ash baskets, and it's an ancestral art. And I learned this from my father, and my father learned it from his grandfather, Dan Kondo. And at one time, we all made baskets just to survive, to live, And we were growing up in poverty like any other reservation at one time.
My name is Heather Kondo. I'm from Geskabigia, Quebec, Micmac Nation. And I made the film about my partner, Stephen Jerome. I would go into his shop often and watch him work, and I was totally amazed by what he can do with a tree. And I said, we got to get this on film. This is so beautiful. It's so artistic. He makes it look easy. It takes tremendous strength to do what he does. And it's so important because it's a dying art.
I love doing what I do. There's nobody that's making baskets the way I do. The same style of baskets that I make, the rib basket that are made for working, for gardens, potatoes, all that stuff. And we took care of my father. Now he's taking care of me through my father's tools.
¿Tú quieres aprender a hablar sicril?
Haré lo posible.
El sicril es una lengua muy poderosa. No queremos que se muera, pero tampoco queremos que caiga en malas manos.
Esta es una película acerca de una lengua indígena que está a punto de desaparecer y que un joven lingüista llega a tratar de hacer un registro y se encuentra con que los dos últimos hablantes pelearon años atrás.
Le machané, ne blashasdish, y mesambe.
¿Qué significa?
Perder una lengua, cuando desaparece, es perder una visión del mundo. No son solamente palabras, sino una visión, una serie de conocimientos sobre la vida, sobre el universo. En México son muy valiosas las estaciones de radio comunitarias. Muchas veces se hablan en diferentes lenguas, en diferentes idiomas, y es una forma de comunicarse con la comunidad indígena. Entonces me parece increíble que haya esta posibilidad en televisión también.
The film was based on interviews and lots of solid research. From World War I to World War II, up to 60 nations were deported in the USSR, including like Kalmyk people. There was no cut, everything was painted on one piece of paper under camera technique. And the song is a traditional folk song by Hunhurtu. They are a throat singer group from Tuva. Tuva is a region in Russia. They're also indigenous people. The lyrics basically is about a girl is going to get married long time ago in nomadic life. But at that time, if a girl gets married, probably she's gonna never see her parents because it's super far away. And then in my film, the Kalmyk people that were being deported, they're like deported by their mother country. So there's like this connection. Yeah, now I found it really works well with the content of the film. Sembeno, mininer alles bi Mongolar sirsen, tød da Sundance tirød bayilsna.
Mom's in jail and the power's out. What if we lose the house? You guys know what's great about being in here? It's therapeutic. That's great.
Deidre Lane Rob a Train, it's about two teenage sisters that take up train robbing to try to raise money to bail their mom out of jail.
I'm gonna rob the train. What? So, how does one rob a train?
I'm interested in stories that I can relate to, but aren't necessarily where I'm from. This film I'm doing right now, Deidre Lane Rob a Train, is actually from a screenwriter from Memphis, Tennessee. It was originally set in St. Louis, Missouri, now Idaho, but there is like this aspect to the characters that there's a lot of it's like res humor. You could describe it as res humor, and there's these characters that are kind of like you could find them on the res, but they're not native necessarily. And so I think it's like trying to bring a little bit of the native background and then bring it into like non-native characters.
Are you sure about this? Sure about what? Oh, you mean the robbery that we've been planning all week? Yeah, I'm sure about it.
Started film school in 2005, finished in 2007, moved to Los Angeles, and had a chance to do my first feature in 2013, a feature called Drunktown's Finest, and it premiered at the 2014 Sundance, and now we're fortunate enough to be back with my second feature as director. I say for any aspiring native filmmakers out there, just pick up a camera, pick up a phone, go out and shoot something.